What's up, guys? We're back with another Gundam Universe review, taking a look at one of my most wanted figures from this line. I really want just about anything they can get me from this particular series, so we are taking a look at the G Gundam. So this is the first G Gundam figure in the line, the G Gundam God Gundam. This guy comes in standard style packaging for the line, so you've got mostly white motif with red accents to play off the red on the figure. You've got a big shot of the God Gundam down there in the corner with product shots that run down one spine and then the name on the other, and then the back has a little demo of articulation and then a nice spread of the God Gundam in all his glory. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our G Gundam God or Burning Gundam in the Gundam Universe line. That's a lot of Gundams in one sentence. I have really been looking forward to this one because it makes me have a little hope that there's going to be a hint of G Gundam in this line, because I truly love that show and I love all the wacky designs for the majority of the suits. This guy's a little bit more standard, but it's still very different from what we've gotten so far in this line. This one was provided for review by Bluefin, and similarly to the Tallgeese that I looked at recently, it's kind of a half and half thing. There's a lot of stuff here that I really like, and there's a bunch of stuff here that I don't like, because it's a lot of the stuff that's good and bad with this line. Limited articulation in some areas, and then some haphazardly frustrating accessory packouts. So let's see what this guy can do, see how he moves around. He is pretty par for the course for the most part, save for a few areas where he does seem to be a little bit more locked down than normal. So you've got a head that, for starters, is pretty well articulated, so he goes up pretty decently. They go down a little bit, to be expected for a Gundam, honestly. Tilt side to side and then full rotation. The arms go out at the shoulders. You kind of have to watch this piece. These are movable on the figure because they have different positions, so they can pop off, and you might, like I just did, pop them right off. You've got arms that can go out at the shoulder, and then they rotate, of course. You've got a slight, it's not really a butterfly because it's a ball peg, but it acts kind of like one. You do have a bicep swivel. We've got double jointed elbows. Pretty good range, and then you do have a ball peg wrist, but it's so blocky that honestly it doesn't really do too much. But for this particular figure, it really doesn't make a difference anyway because of what he does and doesn't come with. Speaking about the wrist gauntlets, there is a movable piece here, so I might as well just take it back off. The actual fangs, the tines on them do come up, because of course it's different based on his mode, so you can pop those up if you need to, or keep them down. He does have the backpack attachment with the wings, and you can see here they do move, so you've got the kind of full halo effect almost. He doesn't come with the halo piece per se, but you can put him in that position, which I'm pretty happy with. Very easy to do. The wings aren't really in the way too much either. He doesn't have much of a twist or anything at the torso, honestly. Like, he goes about that far over to the side, and that's really it. Not too much forward and backward. There is a hinge in there, but you really can't take use of it. It doesn't really do so much because this piece just covers the whole body. So it really can only go so far. The legs go out about that far. You do have to watch the sort of skirt pieces because they're all pegged into the hip area. So if you go too far, you're going to pop them out. The legs do have a slight drop down effect to them, and if you were to take this off, you can sort of see that he does have full range of motion, but you're going to have to fight that that belt piece almost. And you can hear the hips are super, super tight because it's a really tight ball peg there. There is also a thigh cut there at the top of the joint. You do have a double jointed knee, but it really only acts like a single joint basically. And then you've got rocker, and you've got hinges down at those ankles, which work pretty well in conjunction with rotation as well. So he is, well, I just knocked his butt off there. He is fairly similar to most of the other figures in this line. The one area where he seems to be a little bit different is the torso. He seems to be a little bit more locked down than normal because of how long this piece is. Otherwise, though, he is, for better or worse, pretty much what I expected. In that same vein, though, he is very much what I expected when it comes to the overall look and the design. And this is one of the areas where I think that they generally knock it out of the park when it comes to what I want in a Gundam figure at this price point. You could always go Robot Spirits and get something that's crazy more detailed with a lot more articulation and, frankly, 1,000,001 accessories. But for this type of figure and this line, I think they do a really good job of making it look very good while retaining a lot of like the chunkiness. And I say this a lot for these. the chunkiness when it comes to these. These guys have a really nice heft and presence. They're a little bit bigger than you might expect them to be. They have that very kind of fat Gundam look from the waist down, where they have those big thick legs, and I do really like that. The colors on this guy are really well done. Not tons of paint. It's mostly molded plastic, but it all looks really, really good. He does have some paint here and there. Of course, there's yellow on the chest. You've got some accents on the knees and things like that, but most of it is still actually molded plastic that is attached. There are kind of swappable areas on this figure, so like I said, these can move, and you can move them down a notch basically to cover the hands if you are more coordinated than I am. So you can do something like that to cover the hands, because of course that makes sense as far as the show, and that's something that can easily be implemented without having to have another accessory on the figure. So I do like that. I think the wings are really well done, and they go really well with the boosters on the back. This, just being able to move this, I'm happy with, because it's one of those things where they necessarily may not have been able to do that for the price point for this line, but of course they were able to fit it in there, and it looks really good, either up or down. I'm pretty partial to it being up. One area where I have a little bit of frustration with this figure is when it comes to accessories, but it's also not accessories, because he has beam sabers molded onto the figure. So just kind of like the Tallgeese has the hilts that are in the shield but are removable, this guy has them where they're supposed to be. So they're on the hip area, on the hip armor down there, but they're part of the figure. They're not removable, nor does he come with hands to hold them. So while he doesn't have beam sabers, he actually has the hilts molded onto the figure, which I'm not the biggest fan of, because I say it every time, that's my favorite accessory when it comes to a Gundam, more often than not, unless they have some crazy signature weapon. So I do think that's a bit of a letdown when it comes to this figure, just because I'd like to have it, but it does at least have them where they're supposed to be, so at least they're not missing from a visual perspective. The head sculpt is really well done. A lot of detail up there as far as that sculpt. You've got those bright V fins up top, and then the metallic accents for the sensors on the bridge, and then the eyes as well. So again, he's sculpted really well. I think he's got a nice presence. Colors are really bright and vibrant, and it's again got that really chunky Gundam look and feel that for whatever reason I really like when it comes to this line. So he is limited in a few ways, kind of like I expected, but he very much hits all the high notes, well, for the most part, when it comes to the overall look and feel. I'm really happy with the way this guy looks on the shelf. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy is, like I mentioned, missing some stuff as far as what I would love to see. He doesn't have beam sabers that are usable or, well, even really removable, but he does have the means to showcase the signature move for the Burning Gundam or the God Gundam, whatever you want to call it. So you've got all of the components, save for maybe an effect piece to do the erupting burning finger. So you've got the backpack with the wings. Of course, we already talked about that because, it's going to be on him at all times anyway. So while it is an accessory, it of course takes up a large portion of this package, just like the Wing Gundam, Wing Zero, Tallgeese, those figures that have a lot on their back that of course a regular suit doesn't have. But he's got a removable piece on the front, so you pop this guy off, and then you peg this one into the chest with the core piece that you can then pop in, because of course the core opens up and it showcases like the multiplier that's in there. And then you use the movable gauntlets, slide it over the hand, flip up the tines on the top, and then you can peg in a burning finger hand, which is kind of an odd color. So it's like a coppery red color scheme for some reason. I'm not really sure why they went with that route instead of like a translucent orange. I do like it in a general sense, but of course I do think it could be a little bit more accurate as well. Give me like a translucent orange with like a hit of yellow on it almost would look really, really cool. But this is what you get as far as accessories go, the means to showcase the main event really when it comes to this figure, because it's obviously it's what he does in every single fight, so you've got to be able to do it. I'd be very upset if we did not have all of these. Well, I wouldn't be upset, I suppose, but that's being a little dramatic. But I would not be happy if we didn't have these parts. So while I would love to have gotten beam sabers with this guy, I am really happy that we have as a whole a means to do all of this. I do wish there was maybe a little halo effect piece that could go around the wings, but I'm not sure that that's really possible in a line at this price point. He does also come with the act stand base that all the other figures come with, but as far as actual accessories goes, we've got all of the components for the erupting burning finger. So yeah, there is still a lot to like about this figure, while at the same time having some issues here and there. That's kind of par for the course with this line. I'm very much in the know, I guess, at this point of what to expect when it comes to these figures. And for the most part, I am still very, very happy with this line. I am really on board with the idea of it as a whole, giving us stuff from all over the Gundam, well, universe, literally. And I'm really happy that we got to this little corner of Gundam, because it's one of my favorite shows. This is one of my favorite suits, and it's just a cool design that honestly translates pretty well into figure form. It does have some hindrances when it comes to articulation, but it looks really, really nice. I love the wings. I love the overall color scheme. I think they got that down really well. Everything pops on this figure. And while he doesn't, you know, again, for the 10th time, come with beam sabers, I would really be remiss if he didn't have all of these components to do the burning finger, because at the end of the day, that's probably how I display him anyway, and he does look really cool in that pose. So that's going to do it for this look at the Gundam Universe God Gundam. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.